And look, y'all, you see how I'm letting them commercials play out? Yeah, y'all get some of that. Do some of that right there. When you play my video, let them commercials play out. Girl, we on a budget over here. You see I'm doing my own hair. I'm doing all the things I can. Can you help your friend out? Help your vintage bestie. Let the commercials play.
These are dream moves. This is someone else. I'm not myself. No.
All right, ladies, so if you're interested in seeing how I do this quick summer do, it doesn't even take 2.5 hours, maybe tops 2.5 hours. And it lasts for weeks. However long you want a girl, it's going to last that long. In fact, if I'm being honest, since it's a, kind of distressed lock look, it looks better when it gets a little bit older. Mine is very fresh right now, so you can kind of see the parts more than I'd like you to see the parts. But I'm telling you, as it gets older, it's going to get better with time. Kind of like us, right, ladies? Hey. So anyway, if you want to see how this vintage bestie does her locks, stay tuned and I'm going to show you all about it. I don't know about you, but for me, the first thing I do when I get ready to do my hair is I find either a good book to listen to or something to watch on television to kind of play it in the background and pass the time along. Me being me, of course, I'm going to be watching some YouTube. You being you and watching me now, I would strongly encourage you, if not flat out beg, that you go ahead and tune into my channel, and as you do, let those commercials play. But anyway, find something to watch, relax, get into it, and before you know it, you'll probably be done with this because like I said, it's only like a 2.5-ish hour hairdo. Okay, so hopefully you've got yourself set up. As you can see, I'm watching little old moi. But anywho, let's jump into some of the hacks. First thing I want you to know is that I've got extra moisture around my edges. I'm one of those people, you see it. I already have an 8 head, right? So I'm not trying to take it to a 10. For all you girls who simply have a 4 head, first of all, whatever. But for those of you mere mortals like me, you might want to invest in a little extra moisture. I am using the Taraji P. Henson Ride or Die. Love the smell of that. I used to use Living Proof. That's also very good. But I didn't see enough difference in what the product does for the price. So Ride or Die it is nowadays. And then I've got mango and lime. I like a very heavy oil when I am doing protective styles, because remember, it's a protective style. It's going to be in it for at least 2 weeks. I know some people take it to 8 and so on. I can't do it that long. The whole reason I'm doing a refresh now is because I had to get in those roots, baby. Took the nails off, I got in, washed it well, and then, you know what? I didn't film it, but another hack is I lay heavy on the moisturizer and the oil, like I said, and then I just kind of braid my hair out and let it dry. Hence, it looks like this, and this is what I'm starting with. That being said, let's get into some more of the things that I do. If you look in the back here, you'll see that on my bottom row, I just have 2 braids. Now, if you're a person who's going to pin your hair all the way up, I recommend you not do this part. But for me, it works because I'm taking shortcuts. So if you're going to pin all of your hair up, you're going to want to do 3 braids here. I think that gives it a fuller look. I'm not, so again, I just did 2. And by the way, if you see some grays back there, don't worry about it, y'all. Them is premature grays, okay? We rolling with that. So on my second row, this is when I did 3, and you'll notice I'm doing the brick layered parting. And I'm going to keep going up, up, and up with this parting style of brick layering all throughout my hair. So we're on to the next one. For this, I need my handy dandy mirror. And I'm going to show you how it is that I set it up. All right, let's see. I'm looking to see, oh, okay, on this next row, I know that I can part down the middle. So, down the middle I go. Oh, I had such a good time on my girls' trip. All right, so part down the middle there. And now these braids, locks, I guess I'll start calling them. These are going to be smaller because these are going to be more visible and I want a fuller look. So let's see, is that looks, yeah, that's about right. I would say this is about an inch or so. Over here, I'm going to spread this one into another part. These are probably going to be more like 1/2 inch because again, these are more visible. When I do my hair and I wear it down in the locks, let me, because we got some new growth. That new growth is thickish. And I'm very gentle with my hair. This is another reason I like styling it myself. I just don't find that, I should say I didn't find, because I haven't been to a hairstylist in decades, but I didn't find they were as gentle with my hair as I am. And again, so I swoop my hair over on this side, which means you'll see more of these locks exposed. So I like them to be a little smaller. Where they're not so exposed, I don't really care. So these are about 1/2 inches, 1/2 inches. This one's going to be an inch. And let me finish parting this and then I'll show you how I do the braid down. All right, so we're parted out. I've got those 1/2 inch ones that I showed you there, as well as the others. Ooh, this mirror is dirty. Don't judge me, y'all. So what I do, toss that to the side for now. What I do is I just grab my hair here. And again, it's very heavily moisturized. That's not going to stop me from going in just a little deeper though. Sorry, I had to grab my comb. I make sure it's all nice and smooth. And then at the root, I'm not braiding it super tight. Nothing is really tight on my hair. But I give it 1, 2, not that I normally count, 3, I'm just doing it for you, 4, maybe 5. You see how far down I went with that braid, just from here to here? And again, it's loose, I've got room in there, and I need that because I'm gonna put my lock in through that. After that, I just twist it. And then as I'm twisting it, I haven't done it yet, so here we go. As I'm twisting it, I've already put a couple droppers here on my vanity. I just dip my finger in there, get a little of the oil, and then I'm just really sealing that in. Because remember, this is a protective style. So when you put your hair in the lock, you know, like imagine this is a lock and you're putting your hair in there, this hair is gonna cocoon, hibernate, rest, whatever you wanna call it. It's gonna be protected in there for weeks. So we want it oiled down. We want it moisturized down. We want it healthy down. All right. So that being said, let me braid a couple more. Braid and twist, that is. We'll just go 1, 2, 3, 4. Here I went 5, I think. And now I'm just twisting. Dipping in, sealing it really, really well. And twisting it on down. Nothing really spectacular here. In fact, my lazy self, I don't even know that I twisted all the way down to the ends. I just kind of swirl the ends and call it a day. Now this part I will say is important. You don't want to put your hair in there any old kind of way. You don't want it tangled up and all of that. Oh my goodness, I've made the mistake of calling myself deep conditioning, fell asleep on that deep conditioner, and my hair was thoroughly matted. Thoroughly matted with that conditioner. We don't want to do anything like that. So make sure you comb out each piece as you go. Braid the root down a little bit. And then start twisting. As you are, dip, get a little oil, and seal it along the way. That felt just a little bit dry to me, so I added just another pump or two of moisturizer. And I'm still doing my seal deal. It really just feels so yummy. Even when I took down my hair, when I took down the faux locks, my actual hair still felt so moisturized and just, I call it yummy. It really did feel just yummy inside. Okay, so I came back because I want to do a better job of explaining my parting. I was cleaning up my parts, which is why I took down some of the braid out in the front. Let me grab my mirror because I really don't know what y'all see and what I'm pointing to. All right, so here, in case you're wondering how I do my parting, I go behind each ear, across over to the other ear, and then I just start doing that parting of rows in between. This always ends up being 5 rows for me. Here you see the first one at the bottom where I did it kind of big and chunky, still about an inchish, and then I did this one, that's row number 2. Row number 3 is the one that's going to cover up the ones that were ugly. Row number 4 I haven't gotten to yet. And then at the very top you'll have row number 5. All right, so I want to check back in and let you see how it is looking so far. You see where I got a little bit smaller with these braids and they're just falling in between those cheat braids that I did on the first 2 layers? Yeah, that's why I don't mind leaving them big. And as I keep going up my head, I'm going to have more layers to cover that. So cheat where you can, girl. All right, so I've got all my twists. I had to stand up. Call it a job hazard, I don't know, but I can't sit for extended periods. And I wasn't timing it. I gotta admit, I was not timing it. But these are all my twists. If I had to put a guess on it, I would say 40 some odd minutes, maybe even close to an hour. I don't know, because I've been pausing, talking on the phone, yada, yada. But anyway, this is what it's looking like for now. Kind of, it's the thuggish, ruggish bone. All right, stop. Oh no, I need send help. Send help for me. But anyway, so here we go. We've got all this twisted up. And now there's nothing to do but put it in the locks. So again, these are the locks that I'm using. If I think about it, I'll try to get some footage or show what the bag that I bought them in looks like. I can't show you now because I'm reinstalling these and they smell so good. So again, I washed my hair, got all down into the roots. I also washed the hair. The first time I had it, when I first bought it, I should say, I gave it an apple cider vinegar wash. Now I just gave it a cold wash. For those who may be curious, this is the conditioner that I use. Smells really good. I use it for me more so for detangling because we've been growing these roots out. I'll show you more about how I maintain the locks in between as well. But yeah, so the locks look like this. They have a loop here. I'm sure you may have seen these already. And of course you need your handy dandy crochet needle. Got that. So I'm just going to show you, I'll pick a random lock here on the side. Let's do that. Whoops, that fell right out. Let's try that again. Oh, and let me point out a couple of things. This color is TT27. As you can see, it gets progressively lighter. It does not match my own hair color at all. I got a hat for that too, and it's a very good one too, y'all. You can even see a couple of these grays that I have. Oh, if you have more grays, it works even better. I put my needle into my hair and I like to send it the direction that I want the lock to fall. In this case, I kind of want it to fall toward the front. So I go through my hair at the base of it, loop it through the lock, close the latch, and pull it on through. This is again why you didn't want your braid to be too tight. Now that I've pulled it through, I'm going to take the faux lock, pull it through its own loop, and knot it. Now I've got the lock and I've got my hair. So what do? Here comes the needle. Open the needle up, push it up through the length of the lock, and then I'm going to pop back out when I get to the base of my hair. Loop my own hair in, close it, and pull it down. See how that goes? And I'm shimmying it upward a little just to kind of cover that root some. I don't do any of the teasing, I will say that. Pull it down. Oh, I still have a little more hair out, so what do? I go back in below where my hair is, shove it back up the needle again, and then I'm just going to pop back out where my hair is. My hair is here. I loop it again. Oh, actually, I need it to go up a little more. So let's do that, friends. Let's go up a little higher. There we go. That matters because you don't really want to see your hair coming through the gap. Close it over my hair, pull it down through the lock, and now it's covered. Voila. I like the distressed look of it. In fact, the older the locks look, the better the hair comes out to me, including the parts. The older the parts look, the better the hair comes out to me.
Your whole life through. Or maybe.
All right, so as you can see, I am all done installing it all over everywhere. It's got enough thickness to it, even though we did the cheating on the bottom, right? But look here. So it's TT27 is the color that I told you, but as you can see, the hair and the roots are not matching. That's where this comes into play. And I wish so much that you all could get this. It's from Gemini Naturals. It was a Black-owned brand. Yeah, she ended up having to close her doors, but I've still got some of the products, so I'm still using it. I put a little bit on my finger, and by a little bit, it's this much. Rub it together, and then I just kind of rub it across my roots. And you see how that just makes it blend in quickly? So smooth and easy. Let me show you that again. Flip it over. You can see some of the blackness here. And I'm just going to rub it across. And you really don't want to get it on your scalp because it gives it a shinier look. But just by a little tap, tap, rub, rub, blends in, looks good. Tap, tap, rub, rub. And I tend to do it wherever you're going to be able to see it. So on the perimeter of this side, because again, remember, I like to wear it flipped over. So of course I do it on these here. I press it down because I never like tension. Speaking of tension, it may look like it's in there snugly, but it's not really. I like it loose. So anywho, I have done a tap, tap, rub, rub. And you may think, I don't really see a big difference, but there is one. In fact, looks like I missed a little bit running my mouth. There we go. Looks better when you just tap, tap, rub, rub. And let it melt in. Don't see a difference? Well, black and gray. And the one where I did it. Y'all see that big difference? Speaking of the grays, this works well on the grays as well. So whether your hair is black or it's gray, it's going to come out about the same color. Y'all see where I covered the grays and now I'm just covering up the black hairs. Yep, comes out about the same. Not bad at all. And it just gives it a more authentic look. I don't even know that I want to bother to, yeah, I'll do this side today just because I might do it in the updo. I think I will style it in a half up, half down, I should say. Again, don't put it on your scalp like I just did. And that's another tip for making it look better. So if you have jet black hair or hair that isn't as TT27, like for me, I just like to lighten it up for the summer. And so without damaging my actual hair and, you know, braids and all of that crochet hair, this is a way for me to do it. So there we go. This is one of those styles that also gets a lot of compliments. Voila. I'll put some on my front. And then the last thing I'm going to do is my edges. Yes, I am a person who does her edges. If you don't do yours, That's perfectly fine. You might be done right here. Oh, actually, that's not the last thing I need to do. I'm sorry. The last thing I really like to do is I like to put in some swirls. I think that just adds so much more to it. It gives it just a pretty feminine light look that I like, a goddess look, if you will. So the hair I use for that is this. Now, I used to be able to buy these Locs, and they had the curls in them, but I've looked all over town, haven't seen them, so I have to add my own now. And I choose the free tress. This is the 12-inch, same color though, TT27. Yeah, I was gonna say, am I wrong? TT27, and then I just loop it throughout. I've already got a package that I've soaked in apple cider vinegar and let dry, so we're gonna use that. I just wanted to show you this. So all I'm gonna do is find places throughout my hair where I know I'm going to want strands of this coming through. So I know I want it here in the front. I think I'll put one in this one. There's absolutely no rhyme or reason to how I select the hairs that I'm going to do it with and where. I'm like, oh, okay, this one doesn't have one. Oh, I think I need some in this area. And then that's what I do. We're just gonna loop it through one time and see what a knot does with it. So I'll do a few strands of this and then I'll show you how it's looking later. Oh yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Select another piece and do the same. Yeah, I cannot perfect the pull apart. That part I ain't got yet. But it still looks good. I think I'm gonna let one side of this hang much longer. I've been doing it pretty even, but I think I'll let this hang longer on that end of it. Pull it through. I don't know if we want it that long. There we go. Quick little knot, find another piece, and repeat. All right, I'm not gonna keep talking you all through this process. I'll just keep finding hairs and putting a curl there. And then we'll get back for the final look. All right, y'all, so this is the final look. I may or may not go back in and put in a little more of the curly hair later. We'll see. And I often find that I have to replace that curly hair because, again, it gets kind of frizzy, it snags, it does all the things that are annoying. But anyway, I'm on my way out the door, just adding a little bit of this e.l.f. blush that I love. I've had this since last summer. How often are you supposed to replace your makeup, I wonder? But anyway, just doing a little blush here. I like the way it just gives me that summer kissed look. And as you can see, I tend to go back and forth between patting it in and rubbing it in. And then I take just a little bit. Oh, it's not showing up. I like a little bit on the tip of my nose. Oh, there it is. I can see it. And any excess is going to go around the edges. Yeah, that looks good. We're not doing too much with makeup. Setting it with my e.l.f. powder. And I always forget this brand, but it's tried and true. I find it at the beauty stores, the R&R. Someone told me what it was before too. Fab told me, in fact, and I still forgot again. And I'm just setting that blush, knocking down a little shine. I don't have a lot of time. And since I'm a little shiny, I'm gonna put on a little setting spray. Coming back in with more e.l.f. I actually love e.l.f., y'all. We'll let that set and get out the door because, like I said, I'm in a hurry. Looking for a swirl. There we go. See, I like the swirls to kind of frame my face. I think it gives it more of a goddess look. That one's too long. Doo-doo-doo-doo. She says she's in a hurry, so here she go wasting time, right? There we go. See, I think it just gives it a nice soft effect. I don't have on any lipstick. I need to line my lips. I feel like lining my lips just make them pop a little more. I would put on some of my lip plumper, but it tends to be just a little sticky, and I'm going to a tasting. I'm gonna meet a friend at a wine tasting. So I just feel like that gives my lips a little more definition. But with that, ladies, I'm gonna put on my bracelets and we're out the door. Actually, I just checked the time, so I'll put my bracelets on in the car, but a little light. Here we go. Here's our final look. I will say this about this 30-inch hair, it absolutely gets in your way. All right, y'all, so it's a couple of nights later, and I thought I'd go through my night routine with this hair. Okay, so the first thing I do is I put it up, kind of pineapple style. And I apologize, I realize I'm not in shot for all of this, but I just kind of swirl it around pineapple style. I'm making sure though that my edges are exposed because, like I said earlier, I like to, just do a little swoop-to-do, as you can see, with my edges. But I do that with edge control. I might as well show you that. I use edge control on my edges, and I don't want to sleep with that and have that all of the time, 24 hours a day. I mean, I'm going to rinse it off and then probably redo it, but there's a step or two in between, and that's what I wanted to share. So that being said, let me get started on my edges and I'll show you more of how I maintain my hair in between. Okay, ladies, I am not a professional stylist by any means at all, but I think it's important that the way that you maintain your hair in between your protective styles or during your protective styles, throughout your protective styles, however you want to phrase it. I think that's an important part of how you're able to maintain your hair in general. So I've washed off the edges. Now, you may have noticed that when I was actually styling my hair, I did not use this on the roots of my hair. I don't want them smooth and all of that stuff. Again, part of the essence, if you will, of having these locks is that you want that distressed look. You don't want it, I don't want it to be all super neat. Okay, forgive my reach. I'm reaching down here for more of the same stuff I used before. So I have this bottle. This is the legit ride or die. Of course, I have this oil, but I have here this bottle as well. So what's in here? It's a combination because I'm lazy. So what I've done is I have poured, and let's just do some now because it's low anyway. I put some of this ride or die in there, taking the tops off. Whoa. Of course I miss because I'm trying to show off in front of y'all. It's the only reason I miss. Got a big old glob on the side right here. But we don't waste around here, so we're gonna scoop that right on up and put it right on in. Yes, ma'am, Pam. So we've got that. I think I need a little bit more. And I do this same way I do my cooking. I eyeball it. So I've got about yay much in here. I don't know if that's showing up. And I probably just go for the color effect. So I just put some drips of all of this in here because I'm trying to moisturize and seal. There are people who say you probably shouldn't do that in one step. They're probably right, but that's what I've been doing and it's been working for me. So we're good for now. All right, I've got that. And then usually I put in water, but for some reason I thought I'm gonna try this instead. So I'm trying some of this argan oil. To me, it is very watery. So that being said, this is the Strength and Shine leave-in conditioner. So I'm gonna pour in some of this as I would if it were water. So now I'm about up to here. You can see the oil because of course oil and water don't mix. However, what am I gonna do? Mix it anyway. Give it a nice thorough shake. There we go. And now I am going to spray this all throughout my roots and my edges that I just washed off to help maintain them. And I do have some pretty healthy edges, despite the fact that I have an 8 head. I was born with that. I've always had that. I will always have that. But I want to maintain the health of what I've got. And I am literally just spraying it in between every single part. And you know how you see people with their hair itching a whole lot? I don't really suffer that. I don't. Other than sometimes when the curly hair is touching my hair, because although I've put it in apple cider vinegar wash overnight, if it just sits for too long, it just might get a little itchy. But yeah, I lift and move. I lift and move every single part. Feels good too. And I just spray it all throughout my hair. Everywhere I feel scalp, I'm spraying. And if I miss a spot tonight, don't worry, I'll sure enough get it another night. I probably do this 2 or 3 times a week. Just if it feels a little dry, I'm hitting it off. Now I want to add this component to me doing this. This is extra weight. I mean, I'm aiming toward the scalp, but it's getting the scalp and the newest growth. Not that there is much in just a couple of days, but it's hitting that area, and it is weight. This hair itself is super duper light. Can't kid you on that. Very light hair, but it's still added weight onto my hair. And now I'm spraying my hair and it's wet, which to me leaves your hair in a more vulnerable state. That being the case, I only do this at night. So I'm gonna spritz my hair. I think I've gotten it all now. I'm sorry, not my hair. Really, I'm just spritzing my scalp and my roots with all this yumminess, and it smells good. I don't think I did the very bottom. Let me flip my hair up. Another bonus of doing it myself. This hair is not tight. I've seen people where it seems like the braiders try to get all the hair. I mean, hair from their toes even, they pull it up so tight. But no, we're not doing that to ourselves. So now I've got all this in here. Now, if I were going somewhere in the morning, I might be tempted to lay my edges, but I'm really not. I'm just be hanging out at the crib or something. So I'm not worried about laying my edges. I say lay my edges, but y'all see what I do. If I was worried about doing a little swoop-de-doop on my edges, I would do that now and just kind of let it set dry, because I feel like when I do it at night and I wake up to it, I can move it a little bit and it still falls in place and it just has a softer look, as opposed to me doing it during the day. I put the thing on, I kind of let it dry. Doesn't really dry, but it kind of stays there. If I move it, it curls up and doesn't look right. So yeah, for that reason, I kind of like to do it at night. So again, getting back to my night routine, I sprayed my hair, spritzed it all throughout, and now this is just my regular bonnet. And I'll be honest, y'all, I don't wear bonnets a whole heck of a lot on my actual hair. Like throughout my vlogs, if you watch them at all, you're not going to catch me in bonnets. Not because I'm worried about how it looks on the internet, but I personally think these edges on bonnets are not really good for your hair. This is like an average bonnet, and this material is a poly material. The bonnet itself is silk, but not this part. And I don't think that's very kind with all that stitching and stuff. I don't think that's kind to our edges. So if you're a person who is noticing your edges are receding and you're like, dang, I wear my hair in bonnets a lot, maybe that's part of it. But let me get my bonnet that I wear for this. All that being said, I'm going to show you my bonnet. The bonnet I use when I do this is this one. Both the band and the bonnet are of a silkish material. We know it's not real silk. And the stitching is a lot looser than was this stitching. This is very tightly bound. And I guess that's, you know, to give it that snapback. This one does not really have snapback. It's just kind of stitched on. The band is stitched and it doesn't have that elastic throughout that. So that's a bonus. Plus, you see how long this silky band is? That's the part that's actually making contact with my head or edges. All right, so I'm gonna put my hair, and I'm being much more gentle with it because again, I put water on it, it's got weight on it, And I just don't want to weight down or pull on my wet hair with this extra weight. I just don't see how that's healthy. So anyway, I put my locks into the bonnet. And my edges, as you can see, are within this long, wide band. And that's all the way around. So if I were going to wear a bonnet, this would be the one I would actually wear. Like if I was going to wear it around the house and all of that, which I just don't need it for cleaning up. No shade to anybody who wears it. No big deal. I know a lot of vloggers do, and they're keeping it real. They're showing us what they look like in their house, and they are absolutely welcome to it. I just happen to not do it, and I happen to not think it's the healthiest thing in the world. But anyway, here's my bonnet here. The stitching that doesn't really have elastic anyway is way back where the locks are, and of course my hair isn't exposed there, so I feel good about that. And then in the back, of course, it's again long on the edges here. I'll be laughing at my kitchen, y'all. And the band is up here where the locks are. So yeah, this is my night routine. This is how I maintain it throughout the actual styling itself. And with that said, thank you so much for watching. I'm getting ready to go to bed now because, again, I don't want to have this weighing down. And let me know if any of the extra tips and tricks that I gave you are helpful. Oh, wait a minute. Nope. Let me address something that I said because I've done a little bit of editing in between. For some reason, it popped into my head to say that I'm your vintage bestie, right? And I got to thinking about that. I was like, oh, that could be it. But no. Oh, baby, that can't be it. See, back in the day, they call them STDs now. But back in the day, we used to call them what? VDs. And to me, VB, vintage best, that sounds just too close to a VD. And that is not what I'm trying to represent, sugar. No. So I toyed around with it. And I was like, I could be your classic bestie. You know, classics are older, which I embrace as a woman in her 50s. Yes, I do. I embrace being your classic besties. And I thought, oh, that kind of plays on the fact that I'm a teacher as well. And y'all are my classy besties as well. You're my classy ladies. I don't know. I hadn't figured that part out. I thought I did. But then when I just heard it, I don't know. But anyway, so for now, let me just sign off as your classic bestie. And if I change my mind later, you'll know. Take care.